Big thanks to Kamado Joe for sponsoring this episode.
I'm gonna make you the most delicious steak sauce you ever had. I got a couple of beautiful steaks. These steaks deserve a good meal. In itself, I like my steaks when they're beautiful and pure. But then you gotta have a dish to go with that steak. And this dish is gonna be freaking amazing because the center of this dish is going to be a sauce made out of the world famous Gorgonzola cheese. Gorgonzola is one of the most beautiful cheeses you can find. It's silty, it's creamy, it is rich. The Gorgonzola comes out of Italy and Milan claims to be its origin. This cheese has been made for centuries and over time has been perfected to the ultimate creamy blue cheese. Of course, I'm going to serve it with some beautiful steaks. And these ribeye steaks have a good ratio of fat and meat. I'm going to be cooking the steaks on the Kamado Joe, but before I'm going to do that, we're going to create a delicious Gorgonzola sauce. To make this magical sauce, I'm going to use a hot pan, put some butter in it, add a little bit of olive oil, and then drop in the Gorgonzola. Add some cooking cream and let that cheese melt and work its magic. The butter, the olive oil and the Gorgonzola are going to marry into a soft, beautiful sauce. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm also going to chop fine some chives and some parsley and add that to the pan. To finish it off, I'm going to grind in some pepper and let the sauce reduce until it's nice and thick. Of course, you got to make sure you got a good product. So just take a little piece of bread, a little old stale bread preferably, dunk it in there and give it a try. Oh, that's ridiculous. Now that we have our sauce, it's time to fire up the Kamado Joe. I'm going to be grilling my steaks on the cast iron grill grate. So I want a bed of charcoal underneath that grill grate. Add a couple of fire starters and light them up. And once that charcoal's lit up, the Kamado Joe is ready for cooking. The barbecue is now nice and hot. I got my coals glowing red. I got the cast iron grill grate hot, and I'm gonna put the ribeye steak on. I'm getting a beautiful light sizzle from that cast iron. It soaked up all the energy from the fire and it's now releasing it to the steaks, which is gonna give me a beautiful sear mark. And because I'm cooking these steaks over direct heat, I'm gonna close the lid and I'm gonna capture all that heat inside this dome. That heat's gonna rotate around and it's gonna work like a convection oven, creating a good temperature to cook the steaks and grill them at the same time. Of course, I wanna check to see what my steaks are doing, if they're starting to cook, what the heat is like. These are gonna need around 7 to 8 more minutes on this side. Of course, that all depends on the temperature of your barbecue. But I'm currently running at a temperature of around 140 to 150 degrees Celsius. Flip them halfway through the cook. And you know when you're halfway by measuring the temperature, because that's around 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. And if you want to get those beautiful sear marks, don't forget to flip them around. And those sear marks are important because they mean flavor. Once the steak hits the core temperature of 54 degrees Celsius, it's time to take it off the grill, put it on the board, sprinkle on a little bit of salt, and then let it rest. In the meantime, I grilled some Italian portobellos. I cut them up into slices, I put them in a pan with a little bit of olive oil, and I start frying them. I also chopped fine a little bit of garlic and a little bit of parsley, added it to the pan to boost the flavors of the portobello. Of course, they also need a little bit of salt and pepper, and once they're nice and soft, they're done. Now I've got everything prepped and I cooked some pasta to go with it. And I'm gonna create a beautiful plate. And of course I'm choosing pasta because that's just gonna soak up all the flavors. A few of those portobellos. And if you have these, you absolutely don't need any truffles. Now let's slice up that steak. That is one beautiful, delicious, good-looking steak. Juicy, tender. Plate that up. A little bit more of that Gorgonzola sauce on. There we go. Look at that. A beautiful plate, something to really look forward to. And it's as easy as a good piece of Gorgonzola, a good steak, and a little bit of effort. Of course, I'm not gonna waste these scraps. It's gonna be so good. A little bit of pasta. Here we go.